Hey, Gator Nation. Welcome back to the Respect Our Decision podcast, guys. As always, I'm your boy Hirsch. With me, my co host CJ the Man Can,
What's up, guys?
and the hype man Wes.
It's good, Gator Nation.
Hey, Gator Nation. Got a lot of portal news to talk about this episode, man. Got the dead period has lifted, and we have visitors in town. Gonna have some more visitors in town over the weekend. But before we get to all that, guys, as always, make sure you go out there and download us wherever you get your podcast from. And if you're checking us out on the YouTube channel, guys, maybe this is your first time stumbling upon us. First of all, welcome. Second of all, if you don't mind and you like what you like how these three handsome gentlemen look, go ahead and drop a subscribe on the videos, guys. Drop a like on the video and leave us a comment down below. Hey, just tell us how your New Year's went, man. Did y'all have a good and happy New Year's? Did you make it to midnight? Let us know. Also, guys, I want to give y'all all a big shout out for making last week's episode our most viewed regular episode ever, man. Y'all smashed it, man. Over 3.2 thousand views on that video, guys. Lots of new subscribers out there. We appreciate it, guys. We appreciate all the support, man. It means the world to us. And with that, we got more content coming, man. Pot of the People is about to start back up. Look for it this weekend on Sunday. That'll be here. And man, we're just gonna look for that on our social media platforms as we drop that questionnaire every week. Drop those questions below for us to answer on the Pot of the People, man, and we'll answer them to our best ability. But man, we're gonna jump right into it, guys. There's a lot of stuff going on with these portal visits, but we're gonna start by talking about a couple other pieces of news. First, in case you missed it, Jason Marshall announced today that he's coming back to the University of Florida. This is kind of not a surprise. Some people thought Jason Marshall might leave, whether it be through the transfer portal or maybe enter his name into the draft. I know some of y'all were scoffing at me, saying that, but it was a real possibility. But Jason wants to stay. I know his mother wants him to stay to get his degree. And hey, man, it's a fresh new start with a new DB coach. We certainly know that Jason Marshall has flashed the ability. So let's see what comes of that. A couple of guys that have entered the portal that we want to talk about since our last episode. One, Jadon Hill entered the portal. Kind of surprising. I didn't really think we'd see Hill leave, but here we are. But it is what it is. You wish the young man well, and hopefully he can do well in his last year and get himself into the NFL draft. And another name we had leave, Scooby Williams. Scooby Williams is kind of a love-hate relationship with Gator Nation. I mean, we wanted to see Scooby do well. At the beginning of the season last year when Shamar was healthy, Scooby looked really good. But as the season went on, not so great. And Scooby graded out as like the second lowest defender on a historically really bad defense. So, I look at it as here's another roster spot. And that roster spot, especially in that linebacker group, looks like we might have somebody to add into it shortly. But before we get to that, I want to go ahead and talk about the news that we just talked about. Jason Marshall staying, Scooby and Jalen Hill leaving, and get my partner's thoughts on this. Wes, let's start with you. I know you really liked Hill a lot, and you used to be really high on Scooby.
Yeah. I think we all were when we saw the Utah game and I think the Tennessee game. And I forgot who played in between those, one of those smaller schools. But Scooby started off strong. We were high on Bateman as far as what he kept continuing to show that he was developing with him and Shamar at the linebacker spot. But that kind of wore off, as you stated, especially when Shamar got hurt. And Scooby kind of had to feel like he had to take a little bit more. He wasn't as effective. He came in, we thought he was going to be a DN, and maybe that's better suited for him. He had a hard time getting off blocks. When he was able to roam and run free through gaps and stuff, he was a very, very good short tackler. So that's something that I loved from his game. But he had a hard time to me getting off blocks when those guards were in tackles, whether they were pulling and whatever coming at him. So to me, he struggled there in that area, and I think he'd be more beneficial in his next stop if he's playing a defensive end, probably the strong side. Maybe he probably could play the a pass rusher side as well. I don't know. Maybe he could shed a couple pounds because he's not. It's not like he's fleet of foot, but he's not very, very good in space. And to me, that was his problem also at linebacker as well. As far as Hill, you talked about it, Hill was our best DB by far. Because to me, best availability is availability. I love Moore that's coming back next year. To me, Moore when on the field healthy was our best DB, but it wasn't like there's a shade to Jaden when I say that that Moore was our best DB. Though both when Moore was on the field, he'll play excellent in traffic. I mean, you're going to give us a pass. I'm not saying he was Darrell Reeves out there, but he was good. And even on his blitzes, a couple times on the screen plays, he played very well. When it was a screen to his side, when you can look at Florida, there's something we did a couple years ago as well, and a lot of things to Trey Wilson this year as well. He knows how. I talked about how Scooby had trouble getting off the blocks. Hill was excellent at getting off blocks from those wide receivers and making tackles for losses or no gain on those screens. So he was good there and good in coverage. Like I said, he gave us passes, but every DB in the world gives us passes. But it wasn't like big plays. So and he was a guy that wanted to be a Gator. He could have left last year as well, but I think he found a home at that nickel spot, and he was excellent. His only shortcoming, to me, his weakness in my opinion, was on the blitzes. The things that I saw when Dixon blitzed, then when I think I don't know, it was Missouri. It might have been Missouri. He missed the tackle in the backfield, and that wasn't the only game where I saw him blitz and he kind of missed the tackle in the backfield. He gets there, he's in the right position, but for some reason, it's not like those screen plays for him. He had a hard time getting like running back or the quarterback in the backfield when Armstrong sent him on those slot blitzes. But other than that, he was solid. He was solid. I love him, but I also like what I saw from Destiny in limited play. So I'm not really too hurt there. You spoke about Marshall coming back. I would, if I had to pick a choice, I would rather keep Hill and let Marshall go. But as far as Marshall, we know what he came in. He came in as a 5-star. Harris probably has something to do with just keeping this kid here because we know he has the talent. Maybe he just hadn't talked right. Maybe Harris can bring help reach his potential. This is his third DB coach. So if Harris can't do it and Raymond didn't do it, and I forgot who he had before that, if they couldn't do it, then maybe it's just a guy with full of potential that may get drafted in the 7th round, and maybe an NFL coach can bring it out of him.
CJ, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you'd rather have Jaden Hill, I think, but I understand why Jaden left. I feel like Jaden knows that this is his last year to put some really good film on tape for the draft and scouts. And Florida is kind of going in a different direction. They're bringing in other guys. They've got a new DB coach. Nothing's really guaranteed here. So he's making a business decision. He's going somewhere he feels like he's going to play a lot more. He doesn't, he wants to go somewhere that he could probably start for a good chunk of time during the season to make sure, and not saying he couldn't at Florida, but nothing's guaranteed right now. So no, I get it. I totally understand it. Scooby, I think, is in the same boat. Scooby sees the linebackers we've got coming in. I feel like he wants to go somewhere else, and I think Scooby might want to change defenses. I feel like he might want to change into something that he feels more comfortable playing in than what the scheme we run. So we'll see what he does. I know both of them, I think, are scheduled to visit Texas A&M. So, go over there with some familiarity with Bateman and Chaos and those guys. So good luck to them. Wish them the best. Absolutely. I hope they do really well where they go. No ill will towards those guys, but, it just hurts depth, I think, more than anything. Quality starting, guys that have had reps. But, on the other side of the coin, when they have played in quality starting reps that they've got, we haven't been very good. So experience is one thing, but how valuable is that experience if it's not translating into really good defensive play? So hey, whatever. I hope like I said, I hope they go somewhere and find a place that fits them better. Um, just because a kid transfers from your school and goes somewhere else doesn't mean that and does well doesn't mean your school did a bad job. It just means that another school did something different that clicked more with them. So good luck to them for sure. I hope they do a great job. They didn't do anything goofy. They didn't do anything that would be slanderous on their way out. And I think that's the main thing that I worry about with kids. As long as they leave with respect and they don't shoot off at the mouth and talk kind of greasy on folks.
Perkins.
Yeah, I think I would rather see that for sure.
No, these are good guys, man. Look, this is what the transfer portal affords to young men in this day and age. We're going with a younger roster. I know Scooby's not obviously that old on the roster, but hey, sometimes you look at a guy and you go, you know what, man, we tried to make it work. It's not working. For better or worse, it's no different than you being at a job maybe that you just don't fit into. And the boss pulls you into the office one day and you go, you know what? We tried to make it work. Maybe this job just isn't cut out for you. Hey, it's a nice way of saying, hey, you're fired. But, in these cases, I think it's more of a mutual kind of thing where they come in, they have what, they call an exit meeting. They weigh all the options. Hey, this is what we're looking at doing. Where do you fit into this? Well, maybe you don't. I can see Jaden Hill coming in, sitting down with Billy and Billy being honest with you. Hey, man, we want to play some younger guys next year. You're looking to put a strong year on tape so that you can get drafted. Hey, maybe you want to go somewhere else. It's no different than Kirby Smart telling guys, hey, you're going to get drafted in the first, second round. You need to go pro. Don't stay here. Obviously there's a difference there in certain aspects, but my point being is, if next year you're going to be playing a lot of young guys, maybe Jadon Hill's not going to see the field as much. Tell him, hey man, go where you can get playing time, where you can grab some wins. You can, like CJ said, put your best work on film in your last year and go get that high draft grade. No hard feelings. And these kind of things happen now, man. That's, like I said, that's just what the transfer portal affords to these guys. Moving on from that, and before we get into portal visits and the linebacker I was talking about that I think is going to take Scooby's place on the roster, I want to talk about the Under Armour game just for a brief second. Before we get away from it and I forget. Obviously, we had 4, if you want to count the punter, 3 main guys playing in that game. If you didn't watch, DJ Lagway had a couple of series, had a guy step on his foot, and I believe for safety's sake, they went ahead and took DJ out of the game just because, hey, it's at this point, it's like the Pro Bowl in the NFL. It's a glorified scrimmage. If you watched the game and you saw some of the rules, it's kind of silly anyway. But you want to keep these kids safe. They've played all their years of high school football in games that counted. Mainly that, especially as far as rankings wise concerned, they mainly look at what they do during practice during the week and how they look in the drills and stuff like that. Kind of like the Elite 11. So DJ played a couple of snaps, a couple of series. His offensive line was terrible, but he showed off his athleticism. He showed off his arm. He did the things DJ Lagway is going to do. What really stood out to me, and now I've got the final stats for the game right in front of me, was the 2 linebackers. Starting with Miles Graham, 5 tackles, a sack, 1 tackle for a loss. Miles Graham, if you saw him, looked absolutely remarkable. He looked fast. He looked like a surefire tackler. And then Aaron Childs. Oh, my man. Oh, my goodness. Aaron Childs. 3 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries and took the last fumble recovery to the house for a touchdown. Gentlemen, the future is bright at linebacker for the Florida Gators. These 2 young men, if you got to see them any this week in drills or just pictures of them standing there, these 2 guys look like surefire studs that are going to get playing time next year. And I have no doubt in saying that either one of these 2 young men are not going to see the field next year. These guys are going to play. I'm not here to say they're going to start. I'm not here to say that they're going to play, the majority of the snaps, but you can guarantee week 1, both these young men are going to see the field and probably see it often. But got to get into camp. Fingers crossed they stay healthy, but these guys are a couple of dudes. Now, let's move on to the portal and let's stay in the linebacker conversation. If you're not on social media, you don't follow the portal overly closely, and I'm not going to assume that everybody that listens to the show does. A big name from recruiting past hit the portal last night, and that is Grayson Pup Howard. He's out of Jacksonville. He was at the University of South Carolina. Florida recruited him up until he signed with South Carolina last year. He's got a lot of friends on the team here at Florida, one being Trey Webb, who's a very good friend to him. There's a lot of smoke out there that Pup Howard is headed to the Gators, that this was the reason he transferred out from South Carolina, that this is a done deal. He's got a relationship already with Mike Pete from when Mike Pete was at South Carolina recruiting him there. So the familiarity is already there. This kid, 6'4", 240. I mean, a hell of a good size linebacker. South Carolina did everything they could to try to keep this young man in the fold. So if and when this can end up happening, and I think it's going to happen sooner than later, we just have to keep our fingers crossed that everything goes the way it's supposed to go. But this will be a huge addition to this young linebacker core. CJ, what are your thoughts on possibly adding Pup Howard to the team?
Yeah, Pup was a guy that we really wanted last year. Like a lot of us really wanted Pup. I think it was really hard for him. I think he committed to South Carolina. He had been trending there for a long time. The coaching staff prior didn't really recruit. The Jacksonville kids didn't really take them very seriously. Weren't really considering Florida as an option. I think he had built up such a relationship with South Carolina, and he pretty much had given them his word at that point. That he was going to go there, that he couldn't back out of it. But I feel like he always really wanted to come to Florida. A lot of his friends were there: Sharif Denson, Trayon Webb, Austin Barber. Those guys are from the Jacksonville area. They're guys that he knows, that he's played football against since they were little kids. Jaden Robinson, he knew him, obviously through their recruiting. He flipped from South Carolina to us. I think that they're both 2 guys that were kind of in the same boat. But I think Grayson really wanted to try to stick to his word. I can respect the heck out of that, but he hadn't saw some limited action this year, but he played in, I think, 9 games. He had 20 tackles, 9 of those being solo tackles and a forced fumble. So, and 1 tackle for loss, I believe. Nothing really jumping off the page as far as stats, but as a player and a prospect, Grayson Howard is about as good as you can get. You get him here, obviously he played some. He played in the SEC a little bit, which is very valuable. You get him here and you add him to that room, and then you have Graham and Childs who are lighting it up. Those guys are insanely talented. Those are going to be guys that are going to play day one. There's no doubt in my mind. Then you have Shamar James, who's now become the quote unquote old head in the room. You're talking about linebackers, he's one of those guys. And then if you added Pup to that and you have those 4 guys playing that linebacker spot, you really have some really good prospects there with those guys. You have some guys that are really going to be able to flip the room on its head compared to where we were. I mean, linebacker has been kind of a dark spot for the University of Florida for the last few years where you have, you really just one or two really bright spotted linebackers, guys that were kind of tweeners, guys that weren't really, they were more edge rushers and they were made to play linebacker, or they were safeties that grew into linebackers, or the opposite. Um, it is what it is, but now it's starting to change. And like I said, Pup would be a guy that you'd love to have. You'd love to add him to that class. I think that if you added him with the guys that we already have and the guys that's coming in, would completely change the linebacker room for us. Like I said, Miles Graham, Aaron Childs are monsters. They're maulers. And then Shamar James, we know what Shamar James can do. Again, you have Jaden Robinson, who's still in the room. He's a young man. He's only a freshman. He's going into his sophomore year. Don't write him off yet. There's a lot of good stuff that I've watched from Jaden Robinson that I really like. He just needs, see how long he develops. These guys are still learning. So now this would be a massive addition, massive get out of the portal for Billy. I hope we can, finish the deal here. Barring something unforeseen at the moment, it seems like this is the direction we're heading in. So, like I said, this would be a massive get. This would really add to the portal class, save our depth, because our depth at linebacker isn't so hot. With Todd and Mitchell not being there anymore, and you're losing some guys in that room. Wingo's getting older, so you've got to help fix that. And I think we'll be pretty well set if you could pull that off.
Wes, I know you really liked Pup last year, and you love these young guys coming in now. What would if we added Pup to Graham and Childs along with Shamar, what are your feelings on this linebacker room heading into next season?
Let me ask a question to you and CJ right quick. In the NFL, who are the two best teams in the NFL right now in your respective conferences?
Probably the 49ers and the Ravens.
The Ravens and the 49ers.
And we, much as Lamar and Brock Purdy and,
oh, yeah, I know where this is going. Linebackers, baby.
Who are the best linebackers in the tandems in the NFL? You have Patrick Queen and Raekwon Smith for Baltimore, and you have Fred Warner and Drake. I think his first name is Drake, but Greenlaw for the 49ers. The four best linebackers in the NFL, the two best teams, the two best defenses that get after it and kill, pass, play. They can play the pass, they can play the run. They're just violent guys that are all over the field. As much as football has changed, I think what people have gotten away from, or teams have gotten away from, is the linebacker play. And if you have elite linebacker play that can stay on the field all three downs, rush, blitz, play the run, getting past lanes for those athletic tight ends that we see nowadays, that's where it starts. And we hadn't had that. And I like Ventrell Miller and I like David Reeves. But since Davis and Anzalone, you see he was kind of hurt when he was here with us a lot of the years, but you see him playing for Detroit right now and making plays. That's what it's about. You have to have great linebacker play. We talk about fronts, we talk about the trenches, we talk about the back seven, but I feel like linebackers, like running backs, sometimes get diminished. But if you look at the two best teams in the NFL and their defenses, the two best defenses in the NFL, they're known by their linebackers. And they have not just one, they have two elite linebackers on both sides of both of those teams. And to have the group that we have in with Childs and Graham coming in, and then we get Pup from last year, who played a lot of snaps for South Carolina in a lot of games. To go get, we know the talent of Shamar before he got injured, and he was probably going to be on maybe second team, third team, all SEC at the rate he was going at as far as making tackles and being there. And we saw what our defense looked at, and I just not realized this in the conversation that I'm having and speaking this, how our defense kind of took a big step back when he left. Like, we, at one point in the season, we were like, man, can the offense get together? Then we started scoring 30 points and we couldn't stop anybody. But who do we lose doing that? We lost our best defensive player in the middle, the guy who calls the plays. With the I know in the NFL you call it the dot on his helmet. We lost that guy. We talked about Shamar and his play dipping because we left him. Because Shamar got hurt. So he was a key factor in what we were trying to do. Maybe Armstrong was trying to do on defense. you look at the old Alabama defenses, look at what Georgia did. Spoke about Roquan Smith just now. He did it both places. Spoke about Patrick Queen. Did it both places at LSU and in the NFL now. So you need those type of guys on your defense to hold the standard, to stuff the run. Those counter plays that we could get that's been killing us the last couple of years, and to handle those athletic tight ends that are going up the field on those seam routes that our linebackers seem like they couldn't get in play for. So this is a huge get, not only the two guys that are coming in, but to get Pup to pair with Shamar when I think Hurst talked about it. Some guys are leaving. And then we had some guys, some seniors, and Williams leaving, Scuba's leaving. So we not only need the depth of that infrastructure, and I know CJ was a big fan of Robinson last year coming into class, and I saw what he did in the spring game. Of course, he was a freshman. I think it was a game was like maybe he's not ready, but of course he's a true freshman. Wasn't rated as high, but I love his speed on the outside. Like maybe he could be in those special positions where he come in and blitzes the quarterback because he's an athletic type of linebacker. Maybe a Sam type linebacker that you come in and like those nickel types possessions with like 36, 37, where he can cover tight end or he can blitz. So I love where our linebacker group is right now with Robinson, the freshman from last year, Pup coming in maybe, and these two studs coming in with Shamar coming back from injury. So as much as we have attrition that's leaving, I love what we're bringing in as well.
Yeah, and then you add in like we were saying, you add in Nunnery, who's a great special teams player who provides depth, who had to play a lot more late in the season in because of injuries. And then you have Wingo. Now, granted, I understand Wingo's not a world beater, but what Wingo does bring is a veteran spokesman to that room, kind of a coach on inside the unit. Wingo loves the University of Florida. Kids love him when they come to visit. That if there's a kid they really want, Wingo's the kid that they stick on him because Wingo loves the University of Florida and will speak it up to no end, and he gets people hyped up. So while I know a lot of people are like, man, I'm ready for Wingo to leave, think about the other things that he brings to the table. Not all contributions are made on the field, and I know those are the ones that really matter at the end of the day is what you see on the field. But pulling that young guy aside when he comes off the field and saying, hey, look, you do this, try this technique, maybe do something, this is what I see that you're not doing right. That's the same kind of thing that you get from a Brandon Spikes being on the sideline, guys that have been there. Now, I understand Wingo is not a Brandon Spikes and hasn't played in that kind of
Armstrong, what I love with Armstrong, he found something good at what Wingo does, and that's blitz and blow up plays on third down.
I mean, he like I said, his value isn't, hey, this guy's a 3-down linebacker, he's going to make tackle. No, he's got further value than that. I get it. A lot of people are like, man, we need scholarships, but you also need some veteran people at each position that have been here, done that, and can lift these guys up if there's a bad series, a bad couple of series. But anyway, let's talk about some of the guys that are visiting, guys, real quick. And I'm going to run through these guys and names and whatnot and where they're coming from. And then once I've talked about them all, then we'll kind of go around and talk about what we like about these guys. First one on the offensive side of the ball, lineman Devon Manuel from Arkansas. He is transferring from Arkansas. Now, this is a big dude. And I'm not saying he's a big recruit. He's a big man. 6'9", 310 pounds. And he's a Sam Pittman, recruit. Sam Pittman knows his offensive lineman. I know CJ will be the first person every time to say, hey, if Sam Pittman likes him, I like him. So big time offensive tackle. Obviously, the Gators are not done looking. They want to find one more offensive lineman. Sub note to this, I don't believe that you're going to see Tarquin come back to the Gators. I believe that ship sailed on down. He's looking for promises that he's not going to get from the University of Florida. Look for him to announce sometime maybe this week. I heard he's made a decision already, and but it's not going to be UF. All right, next, Cassius Howell from Bowling Green, edge player / linebacker, more of an edge, absolutely rushing edge. Young man had 9.5 sacks this last season. Hey, give me that kind of production all day long. Obviously, that trumps any guy that we had on the roster for sacks. Now, I understand Bowling Green is not the University of Florida, but obviously the young man gets production, and the coaching staff has seen something they like in him. Another edge rusher, George Gums. Gumbs. Say it how you will. This one kind of came out of nowhere, and that's because this young man is actually committed to Cincinnati right now, but he's transferring from North Illinois. He's committed to Cincinnati, but he hasn't signed with them yet. So, and we got another guy like this in a minute I'm going to talk about. This young man, like I said, another edge guy, 3.5 sacks last year, a couple of forced fumbles, 6'4", 242, another, big, tall edge guy. We'll see about this. I think I'd rather have Cassius Howell, but you got to have options in these guys. All right, let's get into the secondary for a minute. Obviously, I don't know if you've heard yet. Jaden Voisin canceled his visit to the University of Florida. There's some rumors going around about why that happened. Some people have said he's got a credit issue that won't transfer. I know that I believe 247. Their people said there's a medical issue. A lot of uncertainty right now, but the whole point of it is he will not be coming to the University of Florida. Kind of sucks. Was really, really liking the young man and the tape that he had. But we move on. First guy, defensive back, John Humphrey, currently committed to USC, played for UCLA the last few years. He's a senior. He had 2 interceptions last year, 2 forced fumbles, 3 passes defended. I mean, good production out of the defensive back position in, out there in the Pac-12 where they don't play a whole lot of defense. But like I said, I think this is where you're going to see Harris using his West Coast connections on a few guys. This young man, 6'2", 205 pounds. Give me all the height at DB. I'm all about taller DBs. Dean. All right. Yeah. Phone's going off. Out of Tulane, DJ Douglas, safety, 6 foot, 205 pounds from Montgomery, Alabama, was originally a walk-on at Alabama, transferred to Tulane. He's a junior, 39 solo tackles last year, 3 interceptions, 2 passes defended. Pretty solid. I meant a stat I meant to throw on John Humphrey a second ago. He graded out on PFF as a 79 last year, which would have been higher than any DB in our DB room last year. So, guys, what are your thoughts? Wes, I'll start with you on those 5 guys I mentioned. Now, also, guys, just to say, there are more guys coming in on Friday. This is a 2-day official visit, and then Friday we'll have some more coming in. Haven't got a list of names on those yet, but this is where we are with these 5 gentlemen. Wes, what are your thoughts on these guys, and who do you like out of them?
Well, I'm going to go with the big lineman, the offensive lineman, that is. That's something that I feel like this team can't get enough of. I just want the best people out there, and if you have enough of them, hopefully you can get 5 and a couple and maybe 3 to back those up. But I like I like some of the young guys that we have that's already here. But we can get some veteran guys in there for depth. Injuries happen. We saw that this year, especially in the last game against Florida State, where we had different tackles out there than we would not have dreamed, especially with a backup quarterback. So I love that lineman. 6'9" is really, really, really big. Thankfully, DJ and Mertz are both tall quarterbacks. They're not short guys. They're not Kyler Murray out there or Baker Mayfield out there trying to throw, or Drew Brees trying to throw passes. So, but you got a big wall guy out there, then I don't mind it. But I'm happy that they're bringing guys in. I know people were kind of salty and in their feelings about what are we going to do in the portal? What are we going to do in the portal? They're going to bring guys in, and if I look at our team, other than offensive linemen, I'm pretty okay with who's going to come back and start next year. It maybe with the linebacker position, maybe my only concern, who's standing next to Shamar. But offensive line is the one for me. Receivers, I'm okay. I know you guys have your concerns, but I'm okay with the receivers. See if the young guys can step up, because I want to see this young talent. Because I know in my mind, if Billy, this is me hoping that he gets with that horrific schedule, maybe get 7, 8 wins that we have next year. That we can see DJ Lagway as a sophomore with Napier. That'll be
We're
his
going to
state.
talk about that another day.
Yeah.
But I don't think that schedule is as bad as people make it out to be now that when you really break it down. But we'll talk about that next week. Y'all hold on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. You know I'm the optimist. I'm always try to wish best case scenario.
I think there's a really easy way to get out in front of that schedule. But like I said, let's go back to the portal. We'll get into that schedule another episode.
Yeah, so I want to see this influx of these new guys and get some guys that can play depth for those guys. Because if you have the depth guys to back up those young guys and push those young guys and teach them the right way, or hey, this is how you do this. I like a mixture of both, and the talented guys out there doing what they're supposed to do. And the young guys, like how we had Mitchell and those guys, not the safety Mitchell, but the linebacker Mitchell, kind of coaching those guys up and telling them where to be as far as the talented guys. So I like the bringing these guys from smaller schools with a chip on their shoulder, saying, "Hey, I can play at this level" as depth pieces. But all the young guys that we talked about that played so many snaps last year. And we'll get, like you said, we get in that later on as far as the schedule. All those guys that we kept saying, hey, I think Clemson, because I have a friend, y'all know the history of that. Well, yo, we played a lot of freshmen and young guys at Clemson. And I'm like, yo, we did the same thing. Like, y'all guys play a lot of snaps, so did our guys. And that's what I want to see in the upcoming years, is these young guys getting more and more snaps. And hopefully we can win at the same time, Hirsch, and maybe build that for that not so horrific schedule that we will discuss later.
Like I said, let's keep that one in the bag, because I really want to go over that in a future episode, because I don't think that schedule is nearly as daunting, especially when you see some of the guys hitting the portal that have over the last month. But CJ, out of all those guys that are visiting, what really sticks out to you?
I love Cassius Howell. I think that would be a monster to get on the edge. We've got so many guys coming in to play that edge rusher position. I would love to have just a coterie of guys that you could put out there that you could keep fresh and constantly.
Rotation of talent is a good thing,
right? Just to attack. That would be very positive. The guy had 9.5 sacks in the MAC. I love the MAC as much as the next guy. I understand it's not the SEC, but even if you let's say we take his sack total of 9.5, and he gives me 4.5 or 5 next year. So you've added 5 sacks to your team, which is really good, considering how few we got last year. So if you say, hey, I'm going to give you a guy who's going to get you 5 extra sacks, awesome, great. So, that's kind of the way I look at it, just a money ball approach of, this guy can do this. This is the numbers that he's going to add to the team. And of course, Manuel is a guy that I've touted, being 6'9" is a massive individual. He played a good bit inside Arkansas. He's got a lot of snaps under his belt. That's against the best of the best. Looking at his stats, he really didn't get killed. It's bad. I mean, you give up a few sacks. Okay, I can live with that. Everybody's not Osiris Torrance. They're not going to be perfect.
Just for reference, he gave up 4 sacks and 8 pressures and over 420 snaps.
Right. So I'll take that every day, twice on Sunday. And
I'll take
that's
that
what
over
you're getting.
George every day of the week.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you look at a guy, he's a true tackle. That's what he plays. It's not the sense of George where you've got a guy who's a guard that you're sliding outside. That's gonna make a massive difference. It's just having guys playing where they're comfortable playing. Um, I would love to add that production in there. The DBs, of course. I want to get some more DBs in here. We've had a lot of the guys leave. I think we're pretty slim as far as DB talent goes. We need to get some more bodies. We got some freshmen coming in, but you don't want to rely on just them. We've got some guys that'll be in their second year. Let's see if they make the step. Jason Marshall, can he get back to what he was at one point? I feel like that's kind of what we're looking at. Jakeem Jackson, can he take a step? Sharif Denson, can he take a step? What are we looking at with Dijon Johnson? And you've added Traquez Bridges to the room, who's going to be kind of play Jaden Hill's spot. So I'm all for it. Will Harris has been busting his ass trying to get guys out. The UTSA defensive back Cam Alexander, he re-upped his visit. He had canceled it. Now it's back on from what I understand. So that's another guy that you could look forward to see coming through here. So definitely need to get as many of those guys in as you can. We also have a walk-on, preferred walk-on transfer quarterback coming in this weekend.
That's right. The Yale kid.
Out of Yale, which I understand what you're saying. Why do I care about that? Because outside of Mertz and Lagway, we ain't got nobody else in the room. We gotta have somebody.
Quarterback.
So a guy that's experienced, he's played a little while. I understand it's Yale, but whatever. At least it's a guy who knows what he's doing, has played enough snaps to have a good head on his shoulders. So that's one thing that would help out a lot with that room is just getting some depth in there, because it's hard. It's going to be hard to find a quarterback that is really willing to come into that room where Mertz is the unquestioned starter, DJ is the heir apparent. You just want to come in and hey, if you just want to go play football, practice, hang out, be on the team, say you're a Florida Gator, then yeah, that spot's for you. But there's just not a lot of those guys out there. If those guys exist, they're not transferring. You don't transfer to go sit on the bench. You transfer to hopefully improve your position. So, if a guy like him wants to come over, that'll help us out a lot.
Yeah, either you're taking a quarterback out of the portal, or you're throwing a scholarship on one of those preferred walk-ons that you brought in last year, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, because convincing a quarterback to come be number 3 on the depth chart is a hard road to hoe. So we'll see where that goes. Another update I wanted to throw out there, and this is unconfirmed right now, but I want to talk about Cam Carroll for just a tad second. We may not have Cam Carroll next season. Right now, there's a lot of speculation that he may have some nerve damage in his leg from that injury he had. So you may have to look for another running back as well. Now, maybe you feel comfortable. You got Jaden Baugh there at signing day, so maybe you feel comfortable going with those 4 guys. That's kind of untraditional. Usually you have about 5 guys on scholarship on the team, but you got some young guys in there. I don't believe any of them that I know of have an injury history. So, maybe you decide to go with that. But like I said, guys, you got visitors coming in for these next couple of days. You got more coming in for the weekend. Really don't have a list of names right now. You've got some guys out there that have just entered in the last couple of days that the Gators are showing interest in. I don't know how real some of them are. I know what's the young man's name from Ohio State? CJ Bryson Rogers.
Yeah, Bryson Rogers, wide receiver.
The wide receiver, Bryson Rogers. He's from Tampa. The Gators have reached out to him, trying to see about maybe getting him into town.
He's good friends with Dijon Johnson.
There you have it. That's right. That's the guy. That's the young man we thought we were going to get a. We thought we were going to get a shot at him last year, and it never turned out to be. Another guy this might be a long shot, but I'm saying just keep an eye on his name for right now is Lance Hurd from LSU, former 5-star tackle. The Gators have made contact with him, and are prepared to try to see what they can do to get the young man to campus.
He
Is it a
knows
long
Rob
shot?
Sale very well. Rob Sale and him went to the same high school.
There you have it.
So there's a relationship there from those things. So we'll see what happens.
Y'all are speaking in my ears.
Look, eventually, you got to land a really good offensive tackle.
Right.
Now, if they get the kid from Arkansas, does that? I can't say if you got a chance to land a guy that was a top 20 recruit in the country. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, guys, but I am saying that we have made contact with the kid. This is confirmed that we have made contact with the kid, which is obvious interest. If you get a chance to land a kid like that, you don't. That might be the time where you have to tell somebody, look, maybe it's time that you. maybe you need to jump in the spring portal. I don't know what to tell you, but. Or maybe we have a graduate transfer that's not popping off the top of my head, but that's a young man. You do whatever you got to do to get on campus and possibly add to this roster, because that is a difference maker on the offensive line. But guys, it's an exciting time. I mean, and we still have a linebacker coach to hire, and there's names out there about that right now. I know Jamar Chaney is one of those names. I know DJ Durkin is one of those names. Jeff Collins is not one of those names. I don't believe we can offer Jeff Collins what it would take to get him here. And I don't just mean financially. I think Jeff Collins would want a title bigger than what we can offer him right now. And that's fine. That's one of the drawbacks that comes with having a 30-year-old defensive coordinator. It's going to be hard sometimes to get older guys with a lot of experience maybe to come work with that young man. And but hey, there's a lot of young men named out there. Jamar Chaney. I wouldn't be upset if Jamar Chaney came back to be the linebacker coach at the University of Florida. The man can recruit like a bat out of hell. And with all these young linebackers, man, just get them going, man. You got Spikes there to kind of help a little bit off the field. You can make it happen. All right, guys, that's going to really do it for this week's episode. No, wait a minute. Before we go, we got to do this real quick. Guys, Wes, I'm going to start with you. National championship game predictions. I almost let it slip.
Well, I was on Washington's bandwagon and Penix, the old man, all year. So I'm going to go with Washington. I'm going to go with the Huskies, man. And these two games kind of that saying it was only Clemson as far as the anomaly that didn't have those top 5 classes and stuff as far as winning championships. We see 2 programs right now, Michigan and Washington in there. So without that. So, but shout out to both of those programs for making it to the championship game. But I'm gonna go Washington. I think Washington. I think it's gonna be a higher scoring game. I think Penix deep ball and the way his accuracy. But I don't think Washington can stop Michigan as well. They're going to pound them and pound them and pound them. So it's going to be a shootout. I'm going to go 31-27 Huskies.
CJ.
Yeah, I'm going to take Washington. Washington reminds me so much of the 2016 Clemson team. It's not even funny. Like I watch Michael Penix play, and I think that looks like what Deshaun Watson was doing. Just a guy that was just willing his team. They have some absolute studs playing linebacker. They've got good DBs because Washington always has good DBs. They've got a heck of a ball team, man. I think that Michigan got a favorable matchup when they played Alabama because Alabama's a very run-heavy team. I think that plays into what Michigan likes to do is just play their front 7. I think that Washington. Michael Penix gets the ball out faster than anybody. With the way they run their offense, just absolutely, drop throw, and you're going to have to, because that Michigan front is coming after you. So I like Washington in the matchup. I'll take Washington 34-31. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think Washington just has too much firepower for Michigan to stop. I think that like I said, the way they play is just so much more different than Alabama. How they use those receivers. Roma Dunze is probably my favorite receiver in the draft coming up. I love that kid's game. Absolute
one of the
dud.
best offensive lines in the country as well.
They have great offensive line. Like I said, and nobody gets it out faster than Penix. He's just he throws that football. It takes him no time at all to chuck it.
So
It's heck of a ball, man. He looks so good out there. So I'll take Washington. I hope they win. I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way, but Washington's right now how I feel.
I'm with y'all guys. Washington just seems like a team of destiny, man. They really just overcome everything. Everybody that's been put in front of them, they've mowed down. And you're not, like you said, Michigan's not going to get the shady passer that they got, against Alabama. They're going to get a guy that can make his throws, that's not going to panic in the pocket, who's not going to make bad decisions with the football. And like you said, the offensive line is good enough to hold Michigan at bay, at least long enough for him to make passes to very good wide receivers. And I think, as opposed to old Alabama wide receiving rooms, this was a very weak wide receiver room compared to what we've seen in the past. And you're not going to have that problem. You're not going to have that luxury against Washington. Washington's got wide receivers. They're going to line up and run routes on you. And and he's going to get, like Wes said, get the ball out quickly. I got it 27-23 Washington, man. I don't think it's going to be a heavy scoring game like that. I think the defenses are good enough to keep it under 30, but I'd love to see Washington win, man. It's going to be a good ball game. We got the best ball game. We had the best four teams. Maybe Georgia might have should have been in there over Alabama, but Alabama earned the right. Notice who I didn't say earned the right. Anyway, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode, man. As always, thanks for tuning in and listening to these three guys' worthless opinions on things. We're just three average guys with microphones or an iPhone or whatever it takes to record one of these things. CJ, what you got for people before we get out of here?
Just thank you guys always supporting us as the creators. I appreciate the love of the last
creators.
Video. The creators. We are the Ohio State. The creators. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Check out our friends at Alma Mater. Use our link, helps us out a ton. Like I said, they come out with new stuff. It seems like every week or every other week. Christmas is over. I understand that, but that doesn't mean you can't spend a little bit of that stocking stuffer money that you got over Christmas. So go over there and pick up something nice, whether it be a hat or a T-shirt. Some of the great stuff they've got over there. Thank you so much for that. Make sure you guys, let's see if you guys can beat last week's video of the views. See if you guys can top that. Good luck to you. I hope you guys do. Leave the comments down below, even if they're mean. It's okay. I got thicker skin than that, but thank you guys so much for
Wes
watching.
worked out his sound, so
that's right.
Some of those comments aren't going to get made now.
Yeah, you guys don't talk about Wes being in a cave or in a tunnel
in the bathroom with a screen door or whatever it was.
I still got to get it right though, man. I still got to get my mic right.
Thank you guys so much.
We were hammering my man. He was having technical issues. We appreciate you though. All right, Wes. Hey, before I let Wes take it home, guys, make sure you check out the episode of Pod of the People. It will be dropped on Sunday morning. Make sure y'all check that out. Pod of the People, Sunday morning. Wes, take us home.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. It's a new year. Happy New Year. CJ told you guys to check out our friends. Wes has a birthday coming next Thursday. I'm taking all gifts, so if you want to send me some Gator gear, go ahead and go on Modern and ship me some stuff.
My Lord, check out Wes's Amazon wish list or something.
Yeah, like Wes's Amazon wish.
My birthday's next Thursday.
Wes about to drop his OnlyFans link in here.
Whoa!
Take the gifts, man. So
that's like what drops in our daggum Facebook group.
Yeah, the ads, not the ads, but
Yeah.
People trying to scam. But appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for making that podcast what it was. And like Hirsch said and CJ said, check out our video on Sunday. We're gonna do Pot of the People. We take your questions and we answer the questions that you may have had that we may have not hit here. So we thank you and we appreciate you guys for making this podcast continue to grow. We can't thank you guys enough. We love Gator Nation. We love your support, and we thank you very, very much. And we hope you all have a blessed year as this year has just started, as well as our football team, because we want to. The podcast is fun when Gators are winning. So hopefully this year is the start of something very, very beautiful. We probably get more listeners if we win as well, because people want to when things.
We've overcome some significant odds this year.
We're working hard. I feel like it's Jay Latore, who's been through head coaches since he's been here.
Yeah, man. So we appreciate you guys, and we're thankful, very, very, very thankful. So as always, go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators, guys. Happy New Year.